So by now, you've probably already seen this car. It's obviously the new Nissan Navara. And before we get into the video, I just want to say that we are right now in Adelaide at the global unveiling of this car. And there are a lot of flies, so if you see me madly waving at my head, I haven't gone crazy, I'm just trying to not be attacked. And the second elephant in the room we've got to address is the fact that this looks a lot like a Mitsubishi Triton. But if I was to speak in more Nissan terms, it's not particularly the Triton, it's actually the Alliance platform on which this is based on, hence why it shares a lot of its, at least exterior features, with that Triton. But let's go into what makes it different, at least on the outside first. So first of all, at the front here, you've got quite a tough ute aesthetic. You've got these big C-shaped headlights which kind of give it a sort of patrol look, but because there are a couple of patrols running around this area right now, I've had a chance to compare the two, and actually the patrol C's face outwards, not inwards, so it's a little bit different. You've also got this big square grille in the middle, which again is very patrol-like. This is one of the first Navaras, I think it might be the first, to not have a very obvious V-shaped grille at the front. Nissan have retained this design motif by putting these little, I guess, intricacies in the grille here, which are still the V, and that, I guess, is a homage back to that styling cue. You also got these three slots above the grille here, which is a really cool throwback to obviously the D21, Navara and Pathfinders, which did look very cool. And other than that, it's very Nissan up front at least. It's not until you start to get around the side where you see a bit more Triton come through. So let's go and have a look at that. So it's once you come around the side here that the Triton-isms of this Navara become a bit more apparent. Obviously, it's the same sheet metal across here, across the doors, then back across the tray. There are these very Nissan-styled, I guess you'd call them snowflake wheels, which as far as OEM wheels go, they look really cool. I think this is the STX grade, which comes standard with 18s, I think. Let me just check that. Yes, they are 18s. You've got this big side step, again, which it shares with its Triton stablemate. You come back here though, it doesn't get much more Navara than a panel that literally says Navara, and also this chrome sports bar really kind of completes that athletic sort of ute look. So earlier on this morning, we actually had time with the designer Ken Lee of this car, and he mentioned that a car gets a lot of its personality and identity from its lights, so that's why there was such an importance put on the different lights at the front, those big C-shaped ones, then also at the back, which really differentiate it. There are no sort of fancy steps or anything like I guess what that new Hilux is doing and a bunch of others, and yeah, again, it's just very standard. This is dampened, so it's soft open and I guess normal closing, which works just as you'd expect.
Arguably the biggest change that this ute has undergone to become a Navara lies in the suspension. While the last model used coil springs at the rear, this updated model gets leaf springs, and longtime Nissan Australia collaborator Premcar has done a lot of local tuning to get it right for local roads. Premcar CEO Bernie Quinn mentioned that his team had been tuning the system over the past 12 months and had covered more than 18,000 kilometres in doing so.
So given how much the exterior shares with the Triton, it should come as little surprise to hear that it also shares its drivetrain. Beneath here is a 2.4 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine. Well, it's actually a bi-turbo diesel engine that makes 150 kilowatt and 417 newton meters of torque. This is paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. On lower spec models, you get a system they call easy four-wheel drive, which apparently is, I guess, kind of like an on-demand four-wheel drive system that will still switch in between four-wheel drive when you need it. And then on the STX and Pro 4X models, you get the more advanced system. The exact name escapes me right now, but basically that's a full-time four-wheel drive system, which Nissan pointed out earlier on this morning that's, I guess, more useful when you're towing in adverse conditions and you just want peace of mind of having four-wheel drive all the time. So on the inside, again, it looks very familiar to a Mitsubishi. I've actually spent quite a bit of time recently in an Outlander PHEV, and I can say that all the switchgear you see, the screen, most of the stuff feels very familiar to that Mitsubishi, but in saying that again, it is part of the Alliance, and what Nissan would say is that this is all Alliance tech, so I guess we can't be too harsh on them saving money, which obviously translates through into a cheaper product to the consumer, so it's a hard thing to weigh up. In terms of things that properly Nissan, you have got this badge here on the steering wheel, but outside outside of that, it's hard to pick things that they are individualising themselves through. You've got a 7-inch TFT display between the two old-fashioned analog gauges, which I quite like having analog gauges in a modern vehicle. This 9-inch display up here gets wireless Apple CarPlay, but it is wired Android Auto. The STX and Pro 4X models do get a wireless charger down here, which is good. You get a USB-C and a USB-A port for charging. Other things that are properly Nissan in here, the seats, they are obviously differently trimmed in this, I guess, I'm not sure if it's leather or faux leather, but it feels nice to sit in. They've got Navara embossed in them, so hey look, that is properly Nissan. There's a couple of glove boxes, one up in the dash and one in the usual spot over this side. And in terms of sheer space, like, I guess I'm kind of knocky on 6 foot, I feel more than comfortable up here in the front row. There is plenty of headroom. You also get these cool air vents in the roof, which are a nice touch, especially on hot Australian days like this. And one other thing is I do see a driver monitoring system here, which is a necessary evil for these cars now. I'm not sure how annoying it is going to be because we have experienced some particular models that are very intense about it, but hey, I'll look forward to test that on the road. So in the back row here, it does feel tight, but Nissan were keen to share with us that they have increased legroom in the second row by around 42mm or 4 centimeters, and it still feels relatively tight, but hey look, I guess it's better than nothing. In saying that, there's plenty of headroom. The backrest is very straight up and down, but hey look, again, that is a necessary evil for these utes because they haven't exactly got a whole lot of room to work with behind. In terms of features back here, you do get a couple of charging ports, USB-C and USB-A. There's a 12-volt port. There are air conditioning controls on the roof, which are handy, and also a light. And also another interesting factor is just over here on the passenger side behind that seat. You have the normal, obviously, pouches in the seat, but there's also a couple up here that look like they could, I guess, hold a phone or something. But, you know, as a whole, it's still very much a ute, but I can see how they're trying to make it better, and it is a bit better. But anyway, let's go take it for a drive. And now we're behind the wheel of a new Navara, and, well, it's, I guess, to be expected. Full disclosure, at this launch right now, we aren't able to drive it on the road, so we are on quite treacherous off-road track though, so we can see what its off-road chops are, but as for real-world handling, and as you'd use this ute probably 95% of its life, we can't actually comment on that. But what I can say is that the suspension performs quite well off-road. We are going over some big moguls and some severely rutted roads with large gravel, and it's seemingly soaking it up. There's a fair bit of movement around in the cabin, well, just me and my passenger, because, I mean, just by the nature of this road, it is pretty gnarly, but there's been nothing that we've come across that this Navara hasn't been able to do as of yet. The engine, it sounds quite agricultural, as is the case with a lot of these diesel mills, but it provides plenty of torque. But again, like, we haven't even got anywhere near sort of speed limits, sort of speeds that you'd expect on the highway, so who knows, but I imagine it will go okay up there. The steering has a nice weight to it. It translates a bit of the ruttage, if that's a word, and I guess the lack of grip that is on this gravel road, but it's better than utes that I've driven of late, which I guess that kind of speaks to all that work that Premcar did, the 18,000 kilometres around Australia's dodgiest roads, so you can feel that. And also, further to that suspension point, the ride is good. I feel like that is quite helped by the generous amount of sidewall that the wheels get. It doesn't seem phased across kind of the bigger sort of gravel that we're crossing. One thing I do have to say though is I have not driven that new generation Triton. I have driven a plethora of other double cab diesel utes in the market, so I kind of know what the industry standard for ride is. But a direct comparison to a Triton, I have not done that, so we're going to have to look into that when this comes to the country early next year. So now we've reached a point of the road where we can go a little bit faster. I say faster, I'm hitting 60 k's an hour almost right now, so it's almost at what you'd expect to be driving on a gravel road in a normal situation. And I have to say that this suspension is holding up very well. There isn't anything too crazy going on the road, but like, this ute is really composed. There's no strange noises or anything, and it seems to be taking it all in its stride. I'm also looking at the same, obviously, spec Navara in front of me, and while the wheels and the back axle are going all over the show, the cabin is staying very composed, which I guess speaks again to all this work gone into the suspension tuning. So now we've come up to a part of the track where they say that you can really feel the dynamicism of that suspension tuning that's being done, and as you can probably see, the terrain is pretty rugged, but yeah, I mean, the The Premcar tuning is really just soaking all that up, and I couldn't find any issue with at all. So there you have it. We drove the new Nissan Navara off-road and we got to experience all those hours of work that Premcar has put in to make sure this is good for Australian and New Zealand roads. I would have loved to try it on the tarmac because as I said, it's where I guess 95% of this car will live this ute will live its life. But in saying that, we did put it through some pretty serious off-road stuff and it performed really well. This will obviously be launching next year in New Zealand, and once it gets here, it'll be interesting to put it up against that Mitsubishi Triton and see where it's similar and where you can see all that work that has gone into making this a different product. But anyway, let us know what you think down below. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.